Today on Know the Truth, pastor and Bible teacher Philip de Courcy tells us about the difference between the wise and the otherwise.
Wisdom that is from above is wisdom that does that which makes for peace. The wise man will go the second mile to keep the peace. The wise woman will speak the truth, but she will speak it in love. Her words will be marked by grace. We are the salt of the earth, but we are not to be caustic soda. We are to be peaceable and pure.
Proverbs tells us the one who gets wisdom loves life, and the one who cherishes understanding will soon prosper. Yet today, many are trading true wisdom for the empty promises of worldly thinking. Today on Know the Truth, Philip de Courcy continues our study in the book of James, a powerful warning against the dangers of worldly wisdom and a reminder of the blessings that come from God's truth. So here's our Bible teacher and pastor from Kindred Church in Anaheim Hills, California, Philip de Courcy.
James chapter 3, it's as if James brings us to a fork in the road. And he sets before us the choice. To his left and to his right, there is the path to life and there is the path to death. He sets before us a choice about our decisions. Faced with decisions, we have to make a choice. We will either go down the road of human wisdom in making those decisions, or we will take to the path of divine wisdom when making those decisions. The results are altogether different. The conclusions are altogether different. The road of human wisdom brings with it confusion and every evil thing, says verse 16. The road of divine wisdom brings with it the fruit of righteousness and the results of peace. One road leads to discord and death. The other road leads to life and abundance. And so James has us here at a fork in the road. He's contrasting both the character and the consequences of human wisdom over against divine wisdom. That's why I've called my message, The Wise or the Otherwise. And this is a message that's very pertinent to you and me because life will bring us to many forks in the road where we will have to make a decision about certain things at certain times, some large, some small. But our happiness often hinges upon the particular path that you and I will take. And so James asks a question fit for us all. Who is wise? Who is understanding among you? The background to this, if we might propose something, might well be that James is upset at the news that there were those that were professing themselves wise in this church or in these churches, but they were giving no evidence of it in their daily lives. It was not showing up in their conduct. They were not displaying a meekness brought about by wisdom. In fact, we might well assume that he could be talking about those in verse 1 of this same chapter who were vying for places of leadership, for positions of influence within the church. Some hankered and hungered after the pastoral office. And perhaps there were those who were ill-mannered and ill-disciplined and ill-tempered and centered upon themselves, and they were jockeying for positions of leadership in this church, and their desire for those positions of influence brought competition and conflict. They were proposing themselves to be wise leaders, those who could well lead the church, but James, in hearing their conduct and their behavior, says, hold on a minute, who's wise among you? Who's ready to take on the mantle of leadership? Who among you has understanding to pastor this people? But what's a question fit for them is a question fit for us all. We all need wisdom, don't we? There is a difference between knowledge and wisdom. knowledge is the acquisition of facts. Wisdom is sorting through those facts and properly applying them to a given situation. Wisdom is a skillful awareness of how you ought to respond and how you ought to react in any given situation. And we lack that ability, and that's why we must pray to God for wisdom. James chapter 1, verse 5. Wisdom is the ability to make the right choice. But James brings us even back one step further in the process and says, look, wisdom is the ability to make the right choice, but he wants to remind us that you must first make the right choice about wisdom. There's two kinds of wisdom. There's human wisdom and there's divine wisdom. Let's get into the text. There's the vices of human wisdom and there's the virtues of divine wisdom. James wants us to know that there's a wisdom that's off this world. It's the wisdom that's not born in prayer. Chapter 1, verse 5. It's a wisdom that's not received from above. It's earthly. It's sensual. It's demonic, verse 15. And if we're not careful, you and I can operate on that basis. We can make decisions. We can move in certain directions in our life, and we're being driven and we're being drawn by an earthly, sensual, demonic wisdom. James wants to warn us about it. He wants to talk about the vices of human wisdom. It's demonic in its origin, it's worldly in its nature, and its results are confusion and every evil work. Verse 16. It's earthly. That means it's earthbound. It's not affected or influenced by heaven. It's sensual. It's unspiritual. It does not feed the soul. It pampers the body. It is tied to what is temporal and not that which is eternal. It's yoked to what feels good and tastes best. You ever made a decision on that basis? Have you ever gone down a path drawn by that kind of philosophy? Well, I think this is the best decision because it feels good and you know what? It tastes good. But that can be human wisdom. That's earthly and sensual and demonic. When you and I find our lives in turmoil and our homes in disorder and our marriages in disarray, you can start looking for evidence of human wisdom at work in the relationship or in the particular situation. And James, in speaking about the characteristics and the consequences of human wisdom, he identifies two characteristics in particular. He's talked about the source of this human wisdom. It doesn't descend from above in verse 15, but it's earthly and sensual and demonic. He talks about the consequences of this earthly wisdom, confusion and every evil work. And he talks about the marks of it. Verse 14, bitter envy and self-seeking. Bitter envy and self-seeking. Two things, spitefulness and selfishness. If you want to know that you are not operating from a context of human wisdom, ask yourself, am I spiteful and am I selfish? You see, worldly wisdom is self-exalting, self-centered. It doesn't rejoice in the advancement of others. It is envious. It becomes discontent at the fortune of others. And selfishness is another mark of worldly wisdom. Strife or self-seeking or self-ambition. The word describes a person who is primarily focused on themselves. A person who operates life on the cafeteria plan, self-service only. They bow at the altar of me and my and mine. They're out to promote themselves, and it could well be that's what was going on here in this church. As James writes to these believers, and he warns them about the vices of human wisdom. Here he has us at the fork in the road. He says, look guys, there's a road to the left, but once you take it, it will lead to confusion and every evil work. But there's a road to the right. He's talked about the vices of human wisdom. He goes on here to talk about the virtues of divine wisdom. The virtues of divine wisdom. Having drawn an ugly portrait of human wisdom, James now paints a picture of divine wisdom, and he wants us to know that it is much more pretty to look at. There are 8 facial features, he says, to the face of divine wisdom. Verse 17, but the wisdom that is from above, the basis upon which you ought to be operating, the wisdom that is from above is pure, peaceable, gentle, willing to yield, full of mercy, good fruits, without partiality, without hypocrisy. Let's just run down those quickly. Don't be frightened. I'll make some brief comments as we pass along. But as you listen and check these 8 facial features off to the features of divine wisdom, ask yourself, now, looking back to last week, even the last 24 hours, is my life marked by self-ambition, envy? Is there confusion and disorder in my relationships and then in what I have experienced this past week? If so, then I may have bought into human wisdom. Or, on the other hand, is my life marked by purity, peace, gentleness, mercy? Let's run down these 8 features quickly. The virtues of divine wisdom. Here's what divine wisdom will produce. Here's what divine wisdom will be focused on. Purity. Divine wisdom is pure. This is a word that was used of a man or a woman who had approached the gods. It had a moral quality to it. And James says that wisdom is to be seen in a commitment to purity. A man is wise when, a woman is wise when the goal of what they're about to do or the goal of where they're about to go is pure, and the motive behind their going and their doing is pure, and the enjoyment in their doing and going is pure. If what you're about to do isn't pure in motive and in goal and enjoyment, it's not wise, because the wisdom that is from above is first pure. Let me say this before moving on to the second one. The wise man is not a utilitarian. The wise man is a moralist. You see, the utilitarian is focused on benefits. The end is always justified by the means. But the wise man is not a pragmatist. He's a purist. He's not only interested in benefits. He's interested in the question of right and wrong. It might benefit me, he says, but I might have to sacrifice my integrity, my purity, my spirituality. And wisdom tells me not to do that. There's the second mark. It's not only pure, it's peaceable. Peaceable. See, what does human wisdom produce? What happens when you and I lean on our own understanding, when you and I seek our own way? Well, we're told, I've read it a number of times now, but I'll read it again. Verse 16, where there is envy and self-seeking, which are the marks, what? Of human wisdom, verse 14, which is earthly and sensual and demonic. What is the results? Confusion and evil things. We said the word confusion means disorder. Where you've got disorder in a marriage, where you've got disorder in a life, you have human wisdom in operation. And James will go on to address this the next time we're together, because in verse 1 of chapter 4, what does he say? Where do wars and fights come from among you? They come from you seeking your own way. And when you seek your own way, you're acting like the world. You're operating on the principle of human, sensual, demonic actions. But not wisdom that is from above. Wisdom that is from above is wisdom that does that which makes for peace. The wise man is always a man of peace. The wise man will go the second mile to keep the peace. The wise woman will speak the truth, but she will speak it in love. Her words will be marked by grace. Wise ministries will defend the faith once delivered to the saints, but they will do it in the manner akin to those whom the faith was once delivered to. We are the salt of the earth, but we are not to be caustic soda. We are to be peaceable and pure. We're to build bridges, not build walls. I'm reading the story of a minister who, for good reasons he felt, stopped financially supporting a particular gentleman. And as a result, this man wrote a vicious, stinging letter, which he made public to acquaintances of both those men. This particular minister decided to write a response. But before he made that letter public, he decided to send it to a group of friends for a second opinion. And they returned it with 3 words written on the margin: not sufficiently redemptive. Not sufficiently redemptive. They thought there was too much bite in his words. Not enough peace. And they called him to wisdom. Not sufficiently redemptive. Perceptive is another mark. Gentle is our word in our Bibles here. But perceptive is a word associated with it because the word gentle carries the idea of sweet reasonableness. It belongs to a family of words: equitable, fair, reasonable. The wise man doesn't fly off the handle. He doesn't overreact when he's faced perhaps with a confrontation or a conflict or a crisis. There will be a measured response. He will operate not according to the letter of the law, but he will operate according to the spirit of the law. He will make allowances to the person or to the situation. His justice and cry for it will be tempered by mercy. Wise men and wise women are pure and peaceable, and they're gentle. They're malleable, they're flexible, they're fair. They know how to react. They don't go over the top. They're pliable, number 4. That means they're willing to yield. Willing to yield. Easily entreated. They bend, they flex. They're open to be persuaded. They listen to all sides. Wasn't David thankful for the fact that he listened to Abigail? Or he would have done something stupid that day in 1 Samuel 25:32-33. We need to be easily entreated. Are you flexible? You know what? In so many of our business meetings, we stand to make our views known and we portray, wisdom. But is it marked by purity? Is it marked by gentleness and a willingness to listen and to learn? But we should be teachable. We should be pliable. We should be willing to yield. I don't know if you ever watched the proceedings in the Congress floor of the United States. I love that part when someone's speaking and someone will come to the mic and say, would the good gentleman be willing to yield the floor? It's a great challenge, isn't it? You're at your podium. You have so much you want to say. You're at your bully pulpit. You want everybody to sit down, shut up, open both their ears and listen because you've got so much they need to hear and you need to say. But are you willing to yield the floor in an act of wisdom? Somewhere I came across this quote. It's an old Irish toast and it goes like this, quote, "May you have the hindsight to know where you have been. May you have the foresight to know where you are going. And may you have the insight to know when you are going too far." That's wise. Pure, peaceable, perceptive, pliable, productive, full of mercy and good fruits. Wisdom just doesn't see needs and analyze them. It issues in practical help. What is mercy? Mercy is pity. What is good works? Actions. Good fruits, actions. You haven't really pitied someone until you've helped them. You haven't really pitied someone until you've helped them. Oh, the Levite and the priest pitied the man lying by the side of the road between Jerusalem and Jericho, but the Samaritan pitied him to the point where he helped him. Such wisdom. Wisdom is productive. Wisdom is precise. 6. It's without partiality and without hypocrisy. The word partiality here carries the idea of precision. It stands for something. It's unambiguous. The word hypocrisy here carries the idea of an actor. An actor. In those days, if you went to watch a drama, there was probably one actor who played multiple roles, and instead of changing his costume, he simply swapped one mask for another mask. And that's the kind of word that James is using here. He says, wisdom is without partiality. It stands for something. It's unambiguous and it's transparent. It's truthful. With wisdom, you know what you're getting. You know, there's a large clock in the city of Belfast called the Albert Clock, and it's got 4 faces to it. It's a smaller version of Big Ben in London. And if we felt at home someone was deceptive or not telling the truth, you'd hear this statement, he's got more faces than the Albert Clock. That's not the way wisdom behaves itself. Wisdom is pure and peaceable and perceptive and pliable and productive and precise. So the question as we close is, are you wise? Or are you otherwise? If you were to look at your conduct, verse 13, this past week, is it marked by human wisdom? Are you acting carnally? Are you sowing to the flesh? Or is it marked by divine wisdom? Are you spiritual and sowing to the Spirit? Of the one you will reap corruption. Of the other you will reap life eternal. I just got to throw this out. Where do you get it? Where do you get it? Where do you get this divine wisdom? Christ. In him is hidden all the treasures of wisdom. You must have a relationship with Christ. You must be born again. You must know Christ as your Savior and Lord to be wise. And knowing Christ, you come through Christ in prayer. And according to James 1 verse 5, you can ask God for that which you lack. Christ, prayer, humility. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. Proverbs 9 verse 10. And then there is Scripture. Psalm 119 verse 97 to 100, where the psalmist says that through God's wisdom he knows more than the older men in his community. Wisdom's not a matter of age, although that should be an element. Wisdom's a matter of a relationship with Christ, marked by humility, sourced in prayer, in the study of God's Word.
We hope you'll make it a personal goal to grow in godly wisdom. You're listening to Know the Truth with Philip Courcy in today's message titled The Wise and the Otherwise. If you'd like to replay or share this message, visit ktt.org or listen on your favorite podcast app by searching for Know the Truth with Philip Courcy. We're so grateful for everyone who steps forward to support Know the Truth. And when you reach out this month with a gift of any amount, we'll say thanks by sending you the book, I Have My Doubts, How God Can Use Your Uncertainty to Reawaken Your Faith, by author and president of Wheaton College, Philip Ryken. Dr. Ryken explores 10 stories of biblical believers who experienced doubt yet remained faithful to God. To request your copy today, call 888-644-8811 or go to ktt.org. And if you're new to Know the Truth or have never reached out before, we would love to send you a free gift, 7 Days of Truth Resting in God Through Prayer. This devotional offers daily encouragement to trust in a loving Father who hears and answers prayer. Request your copy at ktt.org. Now, here's Pastor Philip again with a quick word about an upcoming event.
Yes, August 18th at the Alta Vista Country Club in Placentia, California. I'll be hosting the 2nd annual Know the Truth golf tournament and dinner, and you're invited. I hope you'll join me. To learn more and register, visit ktt.org.
All right, sounds good. Thank you, Pastor Philip. I'm Wayne Shepherd. Join us Wednesday for another encouraging message from Philip Courcy here on Know the Truth. Today's program was produced and sponsored by Know the Truth Incorporated. Jesus said, "You shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free."